I was teaching college English in China as a foreign teacher, and I had no intention of ever going into early childhood education. I didn't know anything about it, but clearly God had different plans for my life, because while I was working as a college English teacher, I met the woman who would become my wife, and she was teaching 3- and 4-year-old kids to speak English. And she invited me to come over and see what she was doing in the classroom. And I was just floored at how effective English education could be at that age, at the age of 3. Kids were speaking like they'd just grown up in the United States of America. And I asked her, how did you do this? And she opened my eyes to how music and song can teach a child, and the child won't even know that they're learning. It's just wildly effective what you can do by singing a song with a 3-year-old child. And so I was observing how this woman and the people working with her were teaching kids to speak English by singing, and they were also teaching kids how to read. And so I wanted to learn how to do that, because that was just super effective. So of course, I eventually got married to that girl, and we started what's called an English training center together. We wanted to encourage parents to play with their children. And that's how I got started. We decided our motto would be improving children's futures. We ran this center for like 5 years until one day, out of the blue, there was a government policy that just shut down all after-school education in China. And that was just so unexpected. It didn't just end us, it ended so many people's careers. And I remember the next month, we were getting evicted from our school. We couldn't afford to pay the rent anymore because we couldn't hold our classes. And I was moving these bookshelves out, of box after box of books, and I just remember being so depressed, and my pastor and some men from church had come over, and it was like God carried me through that moment in my life, and we lost everything except what was here in our minds, what we had developed to teach children. And that was the point where I vowed that no matter how long it took, no matter how difficult it was going to be, I was going to turn what we did in that classroom into something that we could share with the world. And so I started writing songs, and I learned how to make cartoons, and we just stuck it up on YouTube to see what would happen. And to my amazement, there at the darkest point of my career, where I was evicted from my business and we had no way of making a living, that cartoon that I put up on YouTube started taking off. The first one that took off was called Herman the Worm, and I just had this cartoon worm that came out and danced and did a song, and I realized, wow, this really connects with kids. It was connecting with kids in my classroom, it was connecting with kids around the world, and so we had a rebirth, and we just went all in on creating this cartoon content. And that's where the Papa Joel's English channel came from. We started making cartoons to teach English, and every cartoon that is on my channel is carefully designed to teach basic English conversations through play and through songs. And we also were teaching the kids in our classroom, and then the kids who were just friends of our family, to read using these videos. And it was just super effective. I found children could learn the sounds of the alphabet, children could learn to speak English by watching a video. And so that's what we've been doing on our channel. And our vision is to help 1 million families around the world to learn English. So that is what we devoted ourselves to doing. And we've taught thousands of children in China how to speak English and how to read. My wife and I just sat down and we said, this is what we want to do. 10 years from now, this is what I want to be doing. I want to be teaching kids to speak, and I want to be teaching kids to read. It's because I'm a father and I have kids, And I know the criticism you face as a parent from people who don't have children, and I just want to affirm what parents are doing, caring for their children, caring about their children's education. That is so valuable. If you're watching this video at all, you're someone who cares about your child's education and about their social and emotional development. And I want to encourage that. So if you are here for the first time, I want you to join me in this positive community of people who are teaching their children to read, people who are learning to play with their children and go on imaginary adventures, and just parents who are sharing what it's like to raise young children. And I hope you'll join me. Thank you.